Good evening, my friends. Welcome to the Chris Mills Show. My name's Chris Mills. This is the 9/14/2017 edition. Live on the road, which is something new that we're trying out here. Hopefully the connection stays stable, and the audio quality is not terrible. I appreciate you all joining off of Twitter, off of Facebook, off of YouTube. Got quite a few things on my mind tonight. I got caught up in a Twitter storm last night, as sometimes happens upon returning home. I do enjoy my time on social media, Twitter especially. If there was ever anyone who was born to tweet, I am that person. I've gotten to the point where I think in 140 characters or less. So, Twitter is perfect for me. With that said, there is a lot of disinformation on Twitter. You can sometimes get information before anyone else has it from Twitter, but you can also be misinformed before the truth comes out on Twitter. And I have more than once been misguided by something that I've heard on Twitter. I'm sure you've all encountered that at some point in time, where you see something and it just seems sensational and you're like, that has to be true, or that has to be not true, whatever the case is, depending on whether it's something that you want to believe or something that you don't want to believe. So, last night, I see Trump caves on DACA. Wall will not be built, which I'm sure you've all heard by now. And then there's a snippet of a statement from Schumer and Pelosi saying, yeah, we made a deal. All the DACA kids are going to stay. The wall's not going to be built. And then the other side, the Trump shill saying it's all a lie. They never said that. The president never said that. The truth of the matter is we don't know what the truth is, because the only people that were involved in that meeting were Donald Trump, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. There were no Republicans in the room. So the only people in the world that know the truth about what was said over their egg foo young Chinese takeout is Donald Trump, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. Statements came out today from Trump, which, are kind of all over the place. I'm not going to go so far as to say flip-flop, but I am going to go so far as to say I'm not real sure what his position is now on DACA or the wall. As I mentioned this morning, however, the wall's already being built. In fact, it was already there. We can parse words over whether or not a fence is considered a wall, whether or not an electric or electronic barrier is a wall, or what exactly a wall is, but there's already walls on the southern border and fences and all kinds of other things. It's literally impossible to not keep that promise. And if you're expecting some large Great Wall of China looking structure that says Trump on the side of it, you're going to be disappointed, because that's not going to happen. A week ago, Donald Trump says there's 800,000 people in the country that have to leave, and their parents need to leave, and DACA needs to be taken care of. I'm going to kick this back to Congress, and if they don't make a decision in 6 months, I will make a decision. Now, here we are a week later, and the rumor is that he's trying to make a deal with the Democrats. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I'm not sure there's a difference between making a deal with Schumer and Pelosi and making a deal with McCain and McConnell. They're all Democrats as far as I'm concerned. Everything to the left of Ted Cruz is a socialist. So I'm not going to mince words in regards to who is and is not part of the swamp. However, I'm not sure what Donald Trump's position is on DACA or the wall. And the conversations that have ensued on social media and have carried over onto the radio and the news today haven't cleared up exactly what his position is either. The hardcore never-Trumpers, like the Mormon with the bow tie, who compared Trump to Hitler in the primaries, is back on his tirade about "I told you so," the Nazis are marching in the streets, the brown shirts are coming, Trump's a liar, he's a New York liberal, none of what he said was going to happen is going to happen. And then the angry Jewish guy started yelling and screaming and cutting people off on his show because they couldn't answer the question I'm asking: what exactly is Donald Trump's position? And I mean, then the Trump shills like Max Headroom, I'm not naming names on purpose, but there is a person that if you've ever seen his Periscope feed, it looks like Max Headroom in a shirt and tie with white hair and huge white teeth. It reminds me of Max Headroom every time I see it. And the New York City fill-in host for Sean Hannity, who called Ted Cruz a sanctimonious liar while Sean Hannity was on vacation just a few days before the Indiana primary, he was out shilling for Trump today. They think we've all forgotten who they are, but it was interesting to watch everybody fall back into their designed roles of never Trump, cautiously for Trump, cautiously against Trump, and shilling for Trump. They were all back in form last night and this morning and today. And I may be a lot of things, but I only shill for Jesus Christ. I don't shill for politicians, and that includes Ted Cruz. If he makes a mistake, or does something that doesn't make sense, or he does something that I don't think is conservative, I will call him on it. And the things Donald Trump has done in the last week in regards to DACA and the wall don't make any sense. And those people that are calling him on it have reason to call him on it. If there's no wall, Donald Trump is alienating his base. As Rush Limbaugh has said many times, the only person who can kill Donald Trump, the only person who can lose Donald Trump's support is Donald Trump. The only person that's going to drive away Donald Trump's base is Donald Trump. And if there's no wall, that is Donald Trump alienating his base. And I know there are those out there, I've been listening to it all day, checking my sources, as the shills are known to say. They're not going to tell you they're listening to other people's radio shows or reading other people's columns. They've got sources. Well, Einstein said those among you that are considered to be the most creative are the ones that most carefully conceal their sources. But they're out there today. They're out there today with this keen insight that they have into what exactly Donald Trump meant and his flip-flopping. Well, I said I wasn't going to say flip-flopping, and there I said flip-flopping. And his ambiguous stances on what exactly DACA, or what exactly is going to happen with DACA and what exactly isn't. It is, it's confusing. It is confusing. And I have to be reminded that this is just politics. There are two things in the world that most of us have been raised to believe or been taught that you don't talk about in mixed company, and that's religion and politics. That's pretty much the only thing I want to talk about, other than guns on occasion and maybe some video games and here and there. And that's about it. Neckbeards, camo in America. It's about the only thing other than religion and politics that I care to talk about. Probably the only things worth talking about. But we have to be clear on what the difference is between politics and religion. Religion is something with an eternal weight attached to it. It's something with an eternal purpose. Politics is not. I won't offer my opinion on religion. but I will most definitely offer my opinion on the monkeys in Washington, D.C. We got to keep an eye on them. They'll be flinging poo everywhere if we don't watch them. But let us compartmentalize and make sure that we know who we're dealing with and what we're talking about when we're talking about Donald Trump or the Republicans or the Democrats. We're talking about people that live lives that we can never even imagine, making more money than we'll ever even dream of, going places that we will never see, only except in pictures, having for dinner what we couldn't afford to have in a month. Don't trust them too much. Oh, my friends, don't trust them too much. Don't even trust the ones that are on the radio pretending to be your friend. There's some of them so fond of reminding us of how they used to be just like us, how they worked construction and how they worked their way up, and they used to be dishwashers and they put in the blood, sweat, and tears. Well, now those people are making $20 million a year. They may be talking, or more, they might be talking about how they understand you and how they know where we come from and how they know our struggles. But I bought a pair of shoes at the Goodwill last week. I'd like to know when the last time was Sean Hannity was ever inside of a Goodwill. That's the grassroots. That's where we are. That's where I am. It's tough out here. So don't tell me from the White House or your club that you own or the hotel that you own or the other hotel that you own or the golf course that you own that you got to flying on the plane that you own or the boat that you own that you know where we're coming from, because you don't. Don't tell me that you understand churches that had to shut down in 2008 during the recession that have never recovered from that and have been forced out of brick and mortar buildings and into online ministries, which is a blessing. My own church has been blessed by being online instead of in a building. We've grown. The reach of our message has grown. But we all suffer as you play games with our taxes and encroach on our privacy. Oh no, we're not going to trust you too much. As technology marches forward and you harvest our information under the guise of keeping America safe, we know who you are. Google, we understand what you're doing with our information, what you're likely to do with our information. Zuckerberg and Facebook, who already knows what pictures I've taken on my phone, even though I haven't actually uploaded them to Facebook. Oh, we know who you are. We see you. We're the proletariat, just being happy that we can go and have coffee with our wife and praying that Big Brother doesn't turn us against her one of these days or turn our children against us, keeping us liquored up with the gin that never seems to run out as they're flushing our memories and our lives down the memory hole. We know who you are. Do you still know who we are? I'm just an everyday guy who loves Jesus, keeping my eye on the Washington, D.C. monkeys. Liberal progressivism is the spiritual wickedness spoken of in Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 12. And I will keep my eye on the serpent as we trod the narrow path. Until we meet again, my friends, God bless, Godspeed, stay sharp.